Hear from Anna Urman, who is the Director of the Virginia Procurement Technical Assistance Program and President of Tactical Insight, LLC, a boutique consulting practice. She is on a mission to increase contracting activity between small businesses, prime government contractors, and the federal and state government agencies. She also works on procurement policy analysis for select national and international corporations.
My name is Lisa Joseph. I am the COO of the U.S. Black Chambers here in Washington, D.C. So excited that all of you can join us for why partnering can be good for your business. We spend a lot of time trying to make sure that our small businesses understand the importance of joint venturing in order to grow in size and scale. And so today's session is going to be about that. So thank you again for participating in this. I'm introducing Anna Urman today, who is the Director of the Virginia Procurement Technical Assistance Program, or PTAP for short. She's instrumental in propelling PTAP's mission to increase contracting activity between small businesses, prime government contractors, and federal and state government agencies. They offer training and counseling on a variety of procurement topics at offices in Fairfax, Charlottesville, and Williamsburg, Virginia. As director, Anna responsibilities include maintaining strategic relationships with government agencies, small business liaisons, and a variety of public-private partnerships, of which USBC is proud to be one of those. And so without any further ado, I'd like to have you welcome Anna Urman. Thank you,
Thanks,
Anna.
Elisa. And thank you for partnering with us. I am happy to talk, and we could probably discuss small business partnership and teaming for hours. But for the folks on the line that are not in Virginia, just want to give you a resource. I represent the Virginia program, but there is a national association of all the PTACs. It's APTAC, aptac-us.org. There are 98 organizations all over the country like myself, and we provide training and counseling to companies that want to be better at government contracting. So take advantage. We all offer classes as well as free confidential one-on-one counseling to government contractor companies. So a lot to cover, and not as much time today due to the technical difficulty. So let me get on right to my program here and jump into the topic of a partnership. What does it mean to be a good partner, and what does it mean to find partners that are strategically right for your business in pursuing larger contracts, especially federal or state and local large contracts? So why do companies want to team together? One is to leverage in the federal market, the Small Business Administration affiliation rules that allow small businesses to take advantage of opportunities that they wouldn't be able to otherwise because they're just not big enough to handle a large contract. Also, affiliation rules, to some extent, if you play by the rules, allow large businesses to have access to contracts that they wouldn't be able to pursue themselves. For example, if there's an opportunity that is set aside for small business, that only small business could compete for it, a large business can't play in it unless they team up with a small business as a subcontractor in a support role for that. Another reason for teaming is to increase your competitive advantage, is to enable you to pursue an opportunity that you otherwise couldn't. Maybe you're too small. Maybe you are in a different state and it would be difficult for you to travel to see the customer all the time. Maybe you do, let's say, cybersecurity, but not cable installation. So you partner with a cable installer and you provide a more comprehensive offering to your customer. And obviously, it is to get past performance, which really means experience in the market, by having a partner that could vouch for you, that could take you through, that could provide competencies that you don't have in-house to perform some kind of work. And competencies is, yes, technical ability to do some kind of work, but it is also leveraging your partner's access and possibly their licenses or intellectual property, if they have certifications or some kind of industry standards that you don't have. Maybe they are able to get financing at a better rate, bonding in a larger capacity. Maybe they have some kind of a large a vehicle, which is a large contract. It's a term of art. Or maybe it's kind of like a purchase order or a tender type of contract that they have an agreement with the agency that you may be able to take advantage of, so you could sell through that agreement. You're also helping your end customer, whether it is a federal agency or a state agency or a large company that has supplier diversity or small business or subcontracting goals to include small businesses, women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, geographically disadvantaged businesses. So think of your customers and what goals they're trying to meet, what socioeconomic advantage that you could help them achieve by teaming up with companies that that may have those qualities or those socioeconomic markers. And it is, in some cases, if you need to be local, if you need a geographic advantage of some kind, there's no way that you could pursue it as a small business having an office in DC and California. But teaming up with a California company as a base of operations enables you to take your DC-based business, for example, all the way, quite literally, across the country. So there's two distinct types of businesses that we'll talk about, and it's small and other than small, or big companies. There are very different reasons why they team, what are some pros and cons for them that are completely different from the considerations that you as a small business would think about. Big businesses, frankly, most of the time, they are looking for companies to team with, especially small businesses, is because their customer, government agency, or their corporate good citizen responsibility guy tells them that they need to meet some kind of small business subcontracting goals. They need to give to the community or give back or participate in these thresholds. Another major reason is that they may want a piece of business they can't get to because it is set aside entirely for small businesses. That means only smalls could compete for it. Or it could be set aside for women-owned or hub-zone businesses or veteran-owned or 8A or minority, socially disadvantaged-owned businesses. So in order to be able to offer that product or service, they have to team with a company that has that socioeconomic marker. Also, sometimes a big business might need some kind of expert, or they may need a just-in-time ability to provide a product or a service, but they don't need it over the long term. Let's say it's an architecture and engineering firm, but for this one contract, they might need somebody that could also do paving for the parking lot. Well, they don't need to keep the machinery and the people that do paving and asphalt on staff all the time. It is easy for them in that case to bring on a contractor that will do this piece of work and that you part your merry ways. That means they don't have to worry about keeping employees long-term, the labor laws associated with that, as well as the long-term cost of maintaining employees and complying with all the HR requirements. They're also able to be very price competitive because they obtain this expertise, they obtain those core competencies when they need it, but they are able to jettison it when they don't, so they don't have a big bench to maintain. Sometimes also, but as a small business, be careful of that consideration. Sometimes hiring a small business as a subcontractor is cheaper than using their internal labor. Because small businesses have lower overhead, because you may be new or desperate for work or looking to gain experience, they may be able to talk you down in price, whereas they wouldn't be able to do for their own teams and their own employees, which puts you in an interesting position, which you don't want to be in long term, because you don't want to be known as the cheap one. You want to be known as the expert in your field. Now, why would small business not want to team with you? One, they may already have their small business partners in place. The bigger a company is, the more likely that small businesses have been courting them, working with them, talking to them, participating in teams on previous contracts, so that when a new opportunity comes along, They already have a couple of names they could call. They know their work style. They're able to put a team together to respond and to work on a contract pretty readily. They may also be, just like federal agencies themselves, they might be risk averse. They may not want to take a chance on a company that got formed a couple of months ago. They may not be certain that you have your processes in place, that you have your financials straight, that you have the right employment and legal considerations all worked out. So they would be taking a bigger risk on a newer company versus one that's established, that has some experience, that has done work of similar size and similar scope. Also, there may be sometimes an internal conflict. If they subcontract work out, they may not be able to pursue it themselves. There may be internal conflicts of interest between two different organizations or units within the company, which you probably don't even know about unless you really start to get to know a company and work with them and do serious business development. Also consider that every time they're contracting out, they're working with another business. That's a job, that's a task, that's a product that they are not sourcing internally. So if they have people that are sitting on the bench, people that aren't getting billable hours, they are not incentivized to contract work out because they would rather make sure that their people, their internal hires and employees are bringing in money before they go sharing it with outside partners. And also think about your own position. You as a small business want to team and gain experience and grow big and be a prime and not be a subcontractor and win more work and get a bigger footprint. Well, what does that say to your partner? They're bringing you on and growing you and helping you expand and gain experience. And then one day they need to consider that you may be trying to take that work away from them. You will be in a position to compete with them. Now, for small business, you want a team because you are too small, or you may be too small to have all the requirements, all the competencies internally. You just can't do the work yourself. If you're a 5-person company and you're bidding on a contract that will employ 10 people, you don't have the extra 5 people. Yes, you could hire them, but sometimes it's easier to subcontract out. That way you don't have to carry the overhead of managing those folks. And maybe it's in a different area that the core of your business is, and you may need the expertise for a short amount of time. You may get the contracts so that you could grow, and not just grow in the number of people, but grow in the type of work that you could go after. So that if your company is a 5-person company, you team with a company that's a 15-person company, now you could perform the work of a 20+ person company because you have that experience and expertise jointly to be able to grow and take advantage a little bit more of the economies of scale. Geography, which I talked about, is another reason. Another major considerations why small businesses team is to build reputation in the industry, to build your experience, and in government it's called past performance. It's work that you've done as a prime or a sub for federal agencies, which demonstrates your ability to compete, to perform, to successfully bid on similar work again. So if you don't have any past experience, by coming in as part of a team and doing a good job, you are then building that past performance so that next time when you're writing a bid, you could claim that you have that experience or that past performance. I talked about economies of scale already. The last one is access to capital. You may not have the financial strength or the experience to take out a large loan or a line of credit to buy equipment, for bonding in some industries like construction that's necessary, or even to hire employees and pay them. But a partner may be able to help you by leveraging their security, their financial good standing, so that you could extend your credit a little bit and have access to money that you wouldn't qualify for on your own. Some companies, however, find that teaming just isn't worth their time. And in the long term, they would rather be a prime, they'd rather pursue contracts themselves than as part of a team. Partially because teaming is a long-term process, both finding a teaming partner as well as maintaining that relationship. So finding the right company is challenging. Your cultures have to align, your business goals have to align, your customers, a whole bunch of factors that while you might dismiss it offhand, when you get to the nitty-gritty, when you get to the contracting, where you get to actually rolling up your sleeves and working together, those become very important. Also, as a subcontractor, you may be precluded from building direct relationships with the end customers. If you're part of a team, if you're a sub, the prime, knowing that one day you will grow up to compete with them, will want to keep you as far away from that end user, as far away from that customer as possible, which makes it a little bit difficult for you to establish that relationship so that you could bid on work independently. That and some other contract terms may not be working in your favor. So the ability to communicate with the customer, how much insurance you have to carry, when a contract could be terminated, where the contract terms, if there's a dispute, where will that be litigated, what state law will apply, how can you approach each other's employees if you want to hire them. All those terms, if they're dictated by the prime and you cannot easily negotiate into terms you're comfortable with, it may be better off to just walk away from a contract rather than getting into one that is really not well aligned and will not serve your company in the long term to your better interests. So how do you figure out if you need a partner or not? Let's say, so this is a kind of a simplistic, A plus B equals C kind of an exercise. So let's say the agency needs A, B, C, D, and E, 5 different things. You are really good at A, B, and E. You have a little bit of C, but your D is missing completely. So your partner must fill the other gaps. Otherwise, you really don't need them. You don't want another company that has the same thing that you do, because then your gap remains there. So while it may be easy to align yourself with a company that does the same thing, long-term, not best idea, because 1, you'll be competing sooner rather than later. And 2, you're not really growing your company and stretching it into the core competencies or into the adjacent markets that, based on your customer needs, are telling you that exist out there in the market. And you need to be able to take advantage of the longer term opportunities. So don't think about just getting a couple of more people to do what you do, but rather, how can a partner help you grow, not just to fulfill this current contract, but to grow your competencies and to expand your abilities in the long term. The hard part is, for a small business, is to demonstrate why should somebody partner with you. There are many small businesses, and although we don't have time to do the research today, there's lots of information out there on how to find federal contractors, how to find all small businesses in a particular industry. So why should somebody pick you? Why should a partner, when you come up to them, decide that your company is the one to go with? First, don't just go to the partner, or don't just go to the biggest business you know of in your industry and tell them that they have a small business or socioeconomic set aside or supplier diversity goal to meet. They already know that. Somehow they have stayed in business and not gotten into too much trouble without you being in front of them. So they have other partners. But if you think of it strategically, if you do some research on that company and figure out how you would help them grow, how you would help them meet their needs, that's where you can demonstrate your value. So I would recommend even not going after the top tier companies in your industry, but rather those kind of large companies, but maybe not the ones that everybody knows about. So not the ones with the biggest names that you could see from the highway at the top of buildings, but who could be a specialist, a large company, $50 million company that has to compete with the huge guys, but they don't have all the resources on hand. They don't have a big bench of internal people. They may not be able to go after all the opportunities themselves, which means they need your help. So prove to them that you are good at something. The specialization really is comprised of two things: core capabilities or core competencies. What do you do well? And differentiation means that your competition doesn't. So what do you do well that the next company in your industry doesn't? Maybe it has to do with your hours of operation. Maybe you have special machinery or certifications. Maybe you have experience in the industry or with a particular agency. Maybe there's a vertical. So let's say everybody does carpet installation. So you can't say that you are the only one that does carpet installation, but maybe you have installed carpet in a particular type of surface or underwater, or something about the way that you perform the work, the materials that you use, the people that you have, that separates you from the rest. If you can't come up with it quite easily, ask your customers, ask your existing customers why they picked you. And I hope that it's not just price, but something that you showed them that the other guy didn't. Maybe you showed up on time and nobody else can. Make your differentiators what they are. The other thing you need to consider is that your teaming partners, even the big guys, will expect you to bring business back to the team. They will want you to provide contacts, to be doing market research, to be going out there and doing business development. That doesn't supplant what they do, but at least showing that you're paying attention, that you've got your ear to the ground, that you're looking out for the team, and that you're trying to actively pursue work will demonstrate your interest and your experience. And of course, your reputation will demonstrate to your partners that you are trustworthy, that you are low risk, that you are dependable. And there are several ways that they're going to look at you: finance, how you run your company, as well as your past ability to work on teams. They're looking at, I'm not going to read the words on the slide, but even the big guys, CSRA, IBM, they want specialists. They want companies that are honed in on what is it that they're excellent at, and they want aggressive. They want companies that are willing to go the extra step and help them achieve their business goals, not just wait there on the sidelines for, please give me one staff position on a project, or please help me because I'm new. That's not going to help IBM. A company that brings something to the table, a company that shows IBM that, yes, we are talking to all these agencies, and where we need you, IBM, is your strength and your experience, and we could bring you on as a teaming partner because we have identified an opportunity that we could team on. The other job that you have is picking the right partner. So yes, they're looking at you, and you need to show up with your best foot forward, but also make sure that you are highly selective in the companies that you are working with. I've heard it, I think it was a Department of Defense contracting officer that said, contracts last longer than some marriages and could be as expensive as some divorces. So don't get into it unless you have vetted your teaming partner very carefully. Make sure that they have a good reputation. Make sure that the cultures align. You may dismiss it as a small business, how culture is not important. But if one company is family focused, they believe in flex hours, they are employing working mothers, they care about giving their employees weekends and holidays and all of that. And the other company is all about business. We are dedicated, we live at work, we live for our jobs. We are, we breathe, live and breathe our mission. Those two companies are not going to get along well together. even though they might be excellent at what they do, but their cultures and their expectations of each other will be so misaligned that it's not going to be a good situation. So make sure that you pick partners that are culturally a good fit, that the employees can work together comfortably. Obviously, your offerings, what is it that you sell, your product or service, has to be not carbon copy of the other company, but something complementary. I talked about some examples of it, but how can you help each other grow? And not necessarily how can you grow so that you are in head-to-head competition with them. That's a shorter duration by design. A partner that needs you, that has that complementary offering where you could help them augment and grow, will be a better fit for you. Are they a good negotiator? Are the contracts reasonable, or is it my way or the highway? If they're non-negotiable at the beginning, if they are difficult to get along with before you even have any work, before they have to pay you money, I can tell you that it's not going to get any better as time goes on. And think of it as a marriage. Think of it as a long-term relationship. Is there a good reason why you are partnering with that company, even if you lose this particular bid? What are some other benefits to you working with them, to getting to know each other, to developing maybe a rhythm of writing proposals and doing business development jointly that could help you with other opportunities? So what are some long-term benefits that outlast this particular 3-month, 6-month effort? And the more of those there are, the better a sign that it's a good relationship over the long term. And when you're talking about the team, when you found the right partner, consider some of the legalities. Absolutely have written contracts. Typically, in government contracting, there will be 3, at least 3. There is the NDA, or non-disclosure agreement, which is the first document you sign that assures each other of a confidentiality to later share information that is relevant to you proposing a solution. So non-disclosure is first, then there will be some kind of teaming agreement, and then after an agency issues a contract, there will be a subcontracting agreement, which is kind of like teaming agreement, but after the award, with all the government required clauses passed down or flowed down from the end user customer agency to the prime to the subcontractor. Some of the common clauses or some of the common contract negotiation issues that come up that you want to pay attention to are costs, pricing, payment terms. Is it net 15 or net 30, or is it after the government agency pays the prime? They may be able to last, but you as a sub may not be able to weather 90, 120 days past. So that's important. Exclusivity. Can you talk to other companies in the same space? That will be a concern. Keeping each other's data confidential. Handling the end of the contract. Sharing costs for things like proposal development, for travel, for any equipment that you might have to buy. Sharing information, including access to each other's systems, as well as intellectual property, patents, copyrights, information, resumes, and employee poaching. Make sure that your partner isn't using you as a free human resources shop. You hire people that are good, they take them from you, and you have no recourse. You don't want to get stuck in that situation. And liability, of course. How will you handle the unfortunate but occasional issue if there's a legal dispute? So probably more considerations. Certainly, you and a partner, you need to meet with your attorney. Partner might want to talk with their attorney as well. Come to an agreement that is satisfactory to you, because worse than not having a deal, worse than having no partnership, is a bad deal that sets your company up for a business loss or a financial loss. So with that, I'll end the formal presentation. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great afternoon, and I appreciate you partnering up and giving me this opportunity to meet with you.